put it this way, the out of body state in terms of beings and contact with beings was happening to me as a child physically. So much so that my parents would also see them. And all of these things were happening to me as a child that I really couldn't, I didn't really understand. I mean, opening up places, gateways, dimensional spaces into the physical realm. And due to fear of contact with many different beings and stuff, that I've shut it down as a child because fear will shut down anything. So naturally, as you progressively get more afraid of things, it shuts down. 16 years old, I've always had like a sleep paralysis, but I never really knew what it was until I started to understand that that's the gateway to the other side. So 16 years old is when I was taken out of the construct completely by being called Celeste. She showed me all things. And at the time, when I was 16, I couldn't really understand what she was showing me because I could only bring back the feeling. Yeah. And she was showing me the beginning of things, the void, the black space, how time works. And I've been shown that numerous times in the out-of-body state to present date. She was showing me how all the dimensional spaces, I remember tuning into all the dimensional spaces, rounds and constructs, and she was showing me all this, and I had no idea how to put it into words, but now I do now, due to all of my experiences. And from that point of 16 onward, I have been not necessarily consciously, but you fast forward to 2014, that was many years. I was still experiencing things, but again, I didn't know what it was. 2014, when I was in Morocco, is when everything kicked off again, and it never stopped. Is where I was waking up in sleep paralysis every single night, and to the point where I begged it to stop. It did stop temporarily, but it just kicked right back in. And then every single night I was popping out of my body. I was seeing beings, seeing a lot of things that were taking place that I like I said, I didn't know. It was almost like a kid in the like Disneyland for the first time. I didn't know what the hell was going on, where things were, and it took me a long time to start to pinpoint certain locations, pinpoint certain things, and understand what was going on throughout this entire process. A year to 2 years from 2014, where I was like, okay, I need to know how to control this, and then I started to go into a lot of like the deep science around this, right? And when you look up what sleep paralysis is related to science, they know absolutely nothing because they're talking out of their ass. It wasn't until I started to understand certain sleep cycles and I started to actually put myself in sleep paralysis, what you would say at will. And so there's a process that I use now of shutting down my body where if I want to every single night, I'll shut down my body into sleep paralysis and I'll leave my body every single time. So much so that when you leave your body, there's a difference between dreams and lucid dreams are the same thing really. But there's a difference between the dream state and the out of body state, right? Because the out of body state, when done properly, the way that I am telling you is it's no different from a near-death experience, but it's a near-death experience controlled, because the only time where you shut down the body so dramatically and let the soul begins to exit where you're 100% fully conscious is when you die. And you could, there's many people that could attest to this that are near-death experience people, how they exit their body and a lot of the things that I'm stating. Now, when you leave, it is more physical than having a physical body, and that's one of the biggest shocks that was to me when I started to have them, because I was expecting something different. But your soul holds a temporary imprint of your physical body. This is, again, when I allude to near-death experience people, this is why a lot of people on the other side still have the same, like they look the same in terms of their blueprint of their physical body, but it's a blueprint of perfection in the soul body. This is where you can have a grandmother that died at 80, but they're in their perfected version at 30, even looks more better at 30 than they did in the physical body. And so it is a lot more physical, a lot more dense when you leave the body, and the contact that you make with beings and the things that you see is no different in terms of contact like this, but it's, like I said, more real and all the pleasures of physicality with no limitations. These beings will take you to places outside of the realm, show you dimensional spaces. And most of the time when you're out of your body, when you do it at will, you could start to command and demand to access certain things, and they will present themselves to you because you as a soul, your consciousness is the dictator of the universe. You're part of the creation of all things. You help create all things. And so your ability to access things is you have access to all things. Each and every soul has access to all things. And they need to step into a place of empowerment when they do leave the body, because when they command or state something with the spoken word, the universe literally bends at your will because you will it into creation. So when I was showing the realms, the constructs, all right, actually, some of them look like fish bowls, open fish bowls. When I was showing, it almost looked like they were stacked on God's shelves. Now, when you look into a lot of the text in the Bible things, there's a lot of truth in all that. But it's, give them a bit of truth and then put them down a path of disempowerment and all that stuff. Right?
Sure.
And so we live within a realm, in this realm anyways, and that realm is contained within a construct. And that a realm could have 1,000 million different dimensional spaces based off thought forms. So each individual soul creates with their thoughts, their spoken word, all those things. It's how it is on the other side. So when you're thinking something here, you're actually creating a dimensional space within your field, right? Within this realm that then could be accessed by either yourself through your dream state or the out-of-body state. And even a soul that knows how to take their soul out of the body could see dimensional spaces taking place basically all at once. This is where you start to access time as well, because thought forms is really no different from time. It's just what creates that potential time event is the more energy that someone's putting into that thought form to go into that path. But the realm that we're in, we're in a realm that's not spinning. It's fixed, stationary, firmament above us. Everything's contained within this realm. Let me share this, right? There's a difference between when you are seeing something with your physical eyes and perceiving it, right? And a lot of people have done a great job at the controllers of this realm has done a great job at disempowering us to a state where we don't trust what we see, right? What we feel. It's like all that stuff gets shut down. But when you see it out of your body, right, and you are taken out and you could see it through your eyes and your soul, which is incorruptible vision, like you cannot be corrupt there. You're seeing all things as they are. The unseen becomes seen to you. And to be honest with you, being shown certain things was a shock to me, even with a lot of my belief systems. You know what I mean? But
Sure.
But when you see it, it's
undeniable at that point, right?
Exactly. Seeing is believing, pretty much.
Yeah, and especially when you have full access to all of your sensory capabilities in that realm, right? And okay, so now we've established we are in a realm, and let's talk about free will. And are we in a realm of actual free will, or are we in a sort of a program situation? Like, and the reason why I bring that up is because it appears to me and many others that we've been through cycles in this realm that we're in, that there have been civilizations come and go, there have been cataclysmic events happen, mud floods, regular floods, I mean, all kinds of earthquakes, different things that we can see geologically have happened in the past. So is that a pattern that was established when this construct was put together? And then how does that fit in with our own personal free will?
Okay, so those are two things. I'm gonna answer them both. One is the free will, one is the reset stuff, right? I'll go into the reset first. Now, there has been many resets within the construct that we're in, right? Let's just call the construct, because the construct that we're in contains 12 realms with many different dimensional spaces. So we're just going to call it the earthly construct just to keep it, clean. Now, this construct that we're in has been reset many times. So it's almost like there's been many different versions played of this game that we're in. And I like to this was actually someone asked me this question before, and I put it in a better way for people to understand it. Now imagine if you're playing a video game, and let's just say for the sake, we're just going to call the game that we're playing the Earth version 1. So you stick that disc within a console. Now the console, let's just say the Xbox, is the construct. The disc, round 1, the video game, is the realm. And so we played a first version of this, and it's been reset. This is where you get the giants, the mud floods, etc. We take the game out and we create a version 2, and we put that within the construct again, creating, another version of this, version number 2, and we play that game, etc. We take it out and we play again. Now, there has been many versions of this, and with those many versions, alluding to also your other question with the free will, how we don't really have free will here, right? The free will is an illusion, because things within this construct, within the realm, the disc that we're playing, are pretty much set in stone of certain event markers to be had within the realm that we're in. Yeah. So you have the freedom to choose many different paths. You could choose 1,000 different paths, right? But each path, regardless of which one you choose, is always going to lead you to some event marker within this realm that is inevitable to take place because it's already written. So a classic example of this is one of the inevitable events that will take place within this construct that we're in, this realm, is accessing all things again and crossing over to the other side. People call this death, but you don't need to die to do it. You could take the soul out and exit this stuff and access this stuff. Mm-hmm. But that's an inevitable event that will take place. You accessing all things again. Now, you could take a path of spirituality, of being asleep in corporate job, or whatever the many different paths that you could choose within this realm. You will, regardless, inevitably reach the final outcome of this realm, which is accessing all things again, through death or the out-of-body state, doesn't matter, but that will happen. And there are many different event markers within this realm that is inevitable to take place for the soul, because it's written within the game that we're playing, the construct. Now, when it comes to individual soul agreements, that could be changed, right? Because those are certain soul contracts, all that stuff, that could be changed just by commanding and demanding it to be so. But you cannot change the construct's pre-written destination, right? When you exit and you're on the other side, let's say you're outside of this construct completely, there is no predetermined event markers to take place. So you're free to do as you wish. You have total, utter freedom there, or what people call free will. You have the freedom to create and do as you wish, because there's no limitation on you on the other side. Yeah. Well, a lot of the talks that I have with beings when I'm out of my body is not necessarily, there's not really a lot of humor with the beings that I'm in contact with. It's just very direct. One of the most recent ones is I was out of my body and was actually flying over a city, and the being that I was with was telling me everybody's playing their scripts perfectly, and everybody can access this stuff, but they won't access it unless they really want to, because the time frame that we're at is all this is very accessible. And this is where it goes into like what I just said before, like the whole free will and stuff like that. It's like everybody's playing their roles perfectly until they're ready to reach that final event marker, which is inevitable to wake up, access something.
So how close do you think we are to the end of the road for this particular incarnation of this realm?
I don't necessarily know. I mean, but based off where things are, I mean, you're looking at the collapse right now. Of a lot of things.
It looks like it, because I think a lot of us have known for many, many years that a lot of the craziness we're seeing now has been going on for forever. Basically, we've been slaves in this world for a long, long time, just under different forms. It used to be like kings and queens, would enslave the people. Then they kind of morphed into the kings and queens of governments, and the control systems go on and on.
Yeah, because this has been reset many times, and you'll notice the same scripts are actually still taking place prior to this version. They're just different names, slightly different roles, but it's, you know what I mean?
It's the same game.
Same.
But we see now what's interesting in just going along with what you're saying, that everything's being revealed right now. Where it really wasn't before. You had to really kind of look for a lot of these things. But now, I mean, it's flooding out so fast. Even, you know, what we refer to as the normies out there are going like, what? You know, everything is being revealed at a lightning pace, which I think is great, because it's got to be, you know, it's got to be aired out. People have got to see what it is, and then hopefully we can all rise above it at some point. I think that's going to be the grand finale. At least I hope so, where we all come to that realization.
But all the things are being revealed in terms of, I mean, you could go, I won't go really deep on that because you're on board, you know what's going on. But it's all is being revealed as well, but also the accessibility of access to things is also available too for people that desire to access it, right? And this is where I don't really like the date stuff, like, you know, when is it, because it's happening now, you know, and it's more accessible now than ever before.
And it's probably not like it's not really a time thing. It's more like a sequence of events, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's what we're experiencing. So nobody could put a date on and when something's going to happen, because it just depends on the events that lead to that something, right?
Yeah,
that makes sense.
Yeah, no, and that's how it was actually shown to me. I don't know. I wrote it down in my notes, but I don't know the exact date it was. But I was showing how time works in a better way for people to visualize it. And it was a being out of my body showed me basically on a table a deck of cards. She laid out the deck of cards, and she said, "You perceive time by going from one card to this card to this card to this card. It's all event driven, and so you experience it very in a linear fashion." Right. And this is how we view time on the other side. She put them all together. I looked straight down, and it was all happening all at once. Right. And so this is also what you could experience as well. This is some of the stuff when you're out of your body, when you see things, you start to see things all happening. This is individual thought forms, potential time events. And that's where it could get a bit confusing as well, what people are seeing, accessing in their dream space, etc.
Yeah, because we're really limited until we expand ourselves in this realm. Like, we come in here with amnesia, which I understand in other realms we don't have any of that, right? We have full access to our memories and that kind of thing. But in this realm, you know, we come in, we're squashed down with amnesia. We're like, who the hell am I? Where the hell am I? What the hell's going on? So you spend your life moving through all that and trying your best to figure it out. And that's, of course, what we're always doing here. And one thing that I heard you mention before was the halls of Amenti. And people also refer to the Akashic records and things like that, that all events are actually recorded and stored somewhere where people can access it. That's fascinating to me. Could you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so everything is contained within the universal records. So if we were to say the database on the other side of all things, that includes the what people call the Akashic, which is your soul records, what people call the halls of Amenti, the cathedrals, which is more the records of the heavenly realms. It's all contained within the universal records. And this is a infinite space, essentially, of different areas that you could go into to access certain constructs, etc., time events. Now, it's to go into the halls of Amenti. The halls of Amenti was a point in time here where people are calling the mud flood stuff, the pyramids. That point in time was I access the halls of Amenti quite a bit because it's a period of time that I've been closely at that time frame I was in. And so I keep on being presented with that particular hall to access things around there. I mean, you're talking about all the things back then were all the physical capabilities of the body were on par with the what you're capable of on the other side. All things were actually integrated within physical density. This is why everything. Yeah. This is why everything was mirrored. Everything was mirrored based off how the nature of reality actually operates, right? All things were, they understood that. That's how they were able to actually predict certain time events, because they were able to access the dimensional space of time and see that occurring within this realm, the inevitable events that will take place. So they were all on par in that particular, those records, in the halls of Amenti.
Fascinating. So what did you notice about the times of the Great Pyramids and during that cycle? The technology, was it mostly that the capabilities that we have innately, all the abilities to, let's say, bilocate, speak telepathically, all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, it's all that was there then in that time period. Yeah. So all of the, this is where when you get people like Anubis, right, that are like animal/human hybrid, that it wasn't necessarily a hybrid. It was the body was able to transform into that which the soul wanted to express itself. No different on the other side. So when you're on the other side, you could change the way you look, right? This is why I said before, you get grandmother that's 80 years old, that's 30 years old. When you cross over, something you could change whatever it is that you want to express your appearance as on the other side in that particular time frame as well. And that's something that was taking place at that time. So
that's fascinating. So it seems like the ultimate technology is us as creator beings, right? Because we have physical technologies here. We have the internet, we have all these things that we use, little tools, but they really pale in comparison to the abilities that we have as creator beings.
Yeah, the technology is a very poor copy of what we can naturally do. This is where you start to look into Project Looking Glass. So Project Looking Glass is a technology that could see potential time events. Now, you could use a piece of machinery to do that, or you could use the natural abilities within your soul when you have the out-of-body state to access thoughts and time. Like we could do that, right? I've done it myself. So when even the telepathic communication forms of cell phones technology, it's all things that we could do when we stop, when we focus more on ourselves and really trying to awaken those abilities again. Because what happens when you're using so much technology, and I'm using it now, but when you become dependent on that, it sort of shuts down things within your body. Your dormant abilities become dormant, all right? That's why they're dormant. It's awakening those dormant abilities.
If you don't use it, you lose it, right?
Yeah.
Kind of thing.
Well, you don't lose it. Yeah. Yeah.
Well, we lose touch with it. So if we spend more time trying to develop our abilities, I think it would be a lot more advantageous to us. Could you talk about what it's like for you when you kind of a state you get into, maybe just a little bit about how you obtain the out-of-body experience and leave your body and what that's like?
So asking me the process of how I do it? Yeah.
Yeah, kind of the process, and then what does it feel like to you? I'm sure it feels like you're very free once you pop out of the body, right?
Yeah. So when you start to do the out of body state, this is why I said everybody could do this, and it's not necessarily a thing that you even need to train years and years. It depends really. But you don't need to be like this monk master to do this, because you're pretty much doing this all the time when you are going to sleep, right? But it's just you're not conscious of it. So when you are trying to come out of your body, you need to understand your sleep cycles, right? So when you're going to sleep every 90 minutes, right? You enter typically it's like give or take, you enter a deep part of your sleep, but your brain wave goes into delta, right? Now, if you could become consciously aware in that state and awake while your body is shut down to that degree, you're in sleep paralysis every single time. And when you understand the processes of sleep paralysis, of how to exit the body, and you do it correctly, you'll leave every single time without question. The thing, what holds people back is because when they enter sleep paralysis, the feeling of it, for those that have had sleep paralysis knows exactly what I'm talking about, but people that don't know what sleep paralysis is, it's going to be very hard for them to really understand what I'm saying unless they experience it. But when you enter that state, it literally feels like your body is completely dying. And that default program of death and anxiety, it's taken me a while to control that, even though I wasn't afraid of death because I was leaving my body all the time. But it's just the default program within the physical body kicks on all the time. You need to learn how to control your emotions. That's a difficult process to do, getting rid of the fear of death, controlling that within the physical body. Because that's what it feels like. It feels like you stop breathing, you can't move, scream, anything, right? And typically what people do in sleep paralysis is they try to wake themselves up by moving their pinky, their toes, anything to wake the body back up. And that feeling of, oh my God, I think I'm dying. And then when they wake up and they're like, oh, I'm completely fine now. That very sleep paralysis state is literally the gateway to access to the other side. It's no different if you exit your body in sleep paralysis than what will happen to you when you die. The soul will leave the same way. And so when you get rid of the fear and you do leave, the feeling is a shock, because it's not what you may think it is, where you are, yes, it's pleasure, right? It's all the pleasures of physicality. But one of the biggest shocks that you'll realize is that when you actually come out, it's going to feel no different than if you've gotten out of bed with your physical body. That's what it's going to feel like. It's literally going to feel like you've stood up out of bed with your physical body. But when you turn back around and look at the bed, your physical body will still be there. You'll be able to touch your hands and it'll feel just as physical as the physical body that you just came out of. And that's a shock, right there, because now you realize that, wait a second, consciousness really does exist outside the body, but it doesn't only exist outside the body, but the other side is just as physical as the physical realm that I'm in right now. But
when you look up, do you see your hand and you see your actual body?
Yeah,
at all the point too. So you see your body laying there, but you also see you there.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Yeah, and the sensations of touching things, like I have a bedside table, so I'm always touching my bedside table when I come out. Like sometimes, like to get out sometimes or lift myself up, and it's like feeling the bedside table, right? So, but when you contact other beings as well, they're coming to you physically as well, right? They look different, right? Obviously, but taller, etc. It's like they carry more light, more frequency because they've been there longer. So the integration just, but it's making contact with other beings, making contact with dead relatives. Like my Uncle Bob has passed like 5 years now, almost 6 years. He's the one that's actually taken me to the halls of Amente. He was the first. He was the one that introduced me to that space. And it's taken me, I remember coming out of my body, I'm like, Bob, show yourself, like I'm putting out the call. And it took him actually like a year and a half, almost 2 years to actually communicate back with me. And then when he came to me, that's where he showed me certain things. So all is there. And it's, this is where you can, when you think of heaven or the heavenly realms, it's, you do have a body, you do have your individuality. You never lose your individuality, because your soul, that individual soul of your spark, it's not like a hive mind of what people think, like you merge, like, yes, you do merge and you have access to all things, but you keep, when you leave, Darius, who I am now, all my thought processes that I'm having right now, when I leave my body, they stay the same. Everything stays the same. You just access more comes into you. You get more access to the unseen, etc.
Remember, this really takes away, once you conquer the fear of getting to that point, then this obviously has to take away any fear of death that people have, because it's such an unknown to somebody who hasn't experienced that. And a lot of people think, well, you die, you're gone, that's it, it's over. But we are truly immortal beings, and we're just, we're here to experience this realm because we wanted to, right? We decided, well, we're going to go in there and have a life, and maybe from the other side, maybe it only lasts a few seconds or a few minutes, and it's stretched out in a time sequence here. I don't know, but I have a sense that maybe it isn't that long of a duration from the other side. Of course, if there's no time there, then how do we judge that? But,
feels like seconds.
There's no reason to be afraid, right?
No, it feels like seconds when you I remember the experience with Celeste at 16 when I was taken out of all things, right? Like literally my life here felt like 2 seconds. Like, there's no, like you remember, there's a sense of like, just like, okay, I'm back home. Like I'm here again. All right. Like
I'm getting it again. Yay.
Yeah. Free to do as you wish. Yeah.
So what about, do you get any sense of relationships or family, or you mentioned your uncle, but when you're on the other side, do you really feel like totally independent, or do you sense a sort of belonging to any kind of a group or family, anything like that? What's your sense of that?
Yeah, so you're connected to all things. So you know that there are certain beings, depending on what you have chosen to experience with, that, based off the experience, there's a history there, right? So there are beings on the other side, like the beings that have been in frequent contact with me when I'm out of my body. I don't know them because they're not here, but I know them because, there's a deep knowing of all these beings that I'm communicating with, right? And that's the same thing on the other side. There are certain beings and entities there that you've known for, you could just say eternity, right? But when you're there, it's like, wait a second, I know you. And then all the stuff starts to come in slowly. A lot of near-death experience people talk about this as well. But there's a connection to all things, but you do have individuality as we do here. It's just your ability to connect to souls, feel souls, because this is why I said before, like we're all naked, right? Because like you could tap into that soul's pure energy like that, and all souls do that. It's like you just know the soul, like reading the book. You can see all the right? No, not at all.
No, and there's no reason to. You're just being who you are.
Yeah.
Your expression of who you are as a creator being. And I feel like that at times, maybe when we're in that realm and we decide to come to a place like this, that maybe a bunch of us come at the same time to sort of experience something like this. And do you have any other memories of other realms that you've experienced besides, this particular one we call Earth?
Yeah, I do. I've different memories, but it's more of the thing is, when you're there, when you fully come out of this construct completely, you have the ability to create your pleasures, and let's just say your greatest pleasures and your greatest fears, because there's no limitation on you. So a lot of the things that you experience there are literally your manifestations of pleasures, and you create the realm to experience that, etc. So a lot of the places that, like when you're there, this realm construct in particular is the only one where we are experiencing the extreme of what we are not. But when you're over there, depending on you, the soul, you could have 100 different realms based off of thought forms that you want to experience materialize there to have that experience. So yeah, there's many. And this is where also when people have dream spaces as well, or in the dream space where they are experiencing something pleasurable, it's because as above, so below, you still have that degree to do that here. But a lot of people don't know what the dream space is, which is typically you're manifesting a dimensional space within your field to experience either your pleasures or fears, etc., based off of the emotions that you've been having.
Interesting. That makes a lot of sense. So what is deja vu? When we experience that, like is that connecting with a thought form that we've had before, maybe?
Yeah, deja vu there would be two ways to look at this. You're getting deja vu because, like I said before, when you are on the other side, all things are happening all at once. So certain event markers within this realm, like, the preset things, and before you come in, you've known that, right? So deja vu could be lining up to a certain event marker where it's like, oh, deja vu, like this is something that I have known was going to happen. Could also be a potential, when you're dreaming as well, you tapping into a potential time event that was in your field that has been now put in, like you're actually walking it. Those are the things that I have around deja vu.
Okay. And then the other one sort of related to that is Mandela effect, where we have, appears to be different timelines that have maybe converged or changed or jumped or something like that. Any thoughts on that?
Well, the Mandela effect did happen. So that's basically when you look at, all right, so when you look at the Mandela effect, we're just going to say two, because there's multiple, but we're going to say two different timelines. So we're on this path and there's another path here running at the same time. They've pretty much merged together. So two time events merged together, and this is where you get still certain things. Yeah. So it's just a merging of time.
Yeah. So there's things that we know we're in one timeline, but now they're not. So it's a result of them both coming together. And is that part of the programming of the construct or the realm that causes that? Or is it, what do you think causes something like that to happen?
Well, when you look at completion, right? So a realm coming, the construct game coming to completion, things have to merge together into one timeline event. Like everything, it doesn't get with a completion, right? It's like those, trying to find the best way to explain it. It's like that there's many different paths, like there's no such thing as free will. There's many different paths that you could choose, but all those 1,000 different paths that you could have chosen in your life, the event marker within this realm, those paths will seem to go all over the place, like this direction loop here. But as you get closer to the final event marker, they converge together and they all hit that same point. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. And I think that's what we're experiencing right now. I think, we have free will on a small level. Like, if you wanted to get up and just walk outside right now, you could, or you wanted to jump in your car, or, you could do all of those things. But it makes sense that, like you said, ultimately the way we live our lives will be brought to that point that we're supposed to be brought to. Now, how much, there have been books written about the time between lives and that we experience in the realm that you're talking about. You think we pick our parents and our family when we decide to come to a place like this?
Yes and no. I have that's a 100% certainty for me from accessing certain memories. Some souls maybe not, and I don't want to generalize, just my experience with the entirety of all souls, right? but I think that some souls that want to experience this or come in here like at a flip of a dime. They're like, okay, just that, it's like a quick decision versus some other souls that have a lot of memory of coming in here with a group, a group of people, like they call them soul family, stuff like that. And you've come in here all together. And when one of that group family starts to leave, it's like almost like a domino effect. Everybody, when they die, it's like bam, 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 bam.
We're done.
Yeah. And then you have some souls here that are just like, they don't have a connection with many different souls, not even their parents. And I think that possibly it's because when coming into this realm, they've just said, I don't care. Just give me someone. I just want to incarnate him.
So yeah, this completely roll the dice on this one, and just wherever I land up, wherever I end up. So yeah, it seems to me like it's a sort of a playground in some ways. Although once you're here, it's like, maybe I could have picked a better playground, at least at this point where it's all so chaotic and crazy.
I'll tell you, you have a bunch of playgrounds on the other side. You actually have them. Like in your dream space. But if you know how to control that, you can navigate when you're going to sleep, and you could be out experiencing, like I said, your greatest pleasures now, really.
But gives us all something to look forward to, right?
Yeah.
And okay, I've heard you talk about the void. So let's, if you would please, tell us about the void and what that means, what it is, kind of what you sense it is, and how it relates to creation.
Yeah. So the void that's the beginning of all things, right? So I'm gonna put this in two ways. So it's like going two different directions, but you'll see where I'm going. One, here in the physical body, when you want to imagine something, right? Because it always starts with the thought, the spoken word. Right? When you want to imagine something and close your eyes, you start automatically. You're in the black space. You could say the void, right? It's black when you close your eyes, and then when you start to imagine something into creation, into your forefront of your mind, then you start to visualize, and then light is birthed. Light is birthed from the void within yourself. No different. As within, so without. As above, so below. The beginning of all things is the black space, the void. Light is secondary. Light is birthed from the black space. It's black because it holds all the color, holds all the frequency, right? And so when you're in that space, the beginning of all things, when you want to create something, that's where you start. That's where you go. It's not necessarily a place that you travel to, your soul travels to, because it's within your soul. It's within each individual soul. But it's just like it's a space that you always remain and have always been. Yeah. Because you're sort of there right now, even if you close your eyes. Like I said before, I'm going into the physical. You're still sort of there, and you could tap right back into that, even now.
It feels like home.
Yeah. So that's a place that creates all things. The extreme, the heaven and hell, the duality, all exists from there, right? When you want to create something for your soul to experience, you create it from within the black space, the void. You birth it into creation, and then your soul can have whatever experience, your pleasure, etc., that you want to have. It's peaceful there, and it's almost like the feeling. You're tuned in and you're tapped into all things, while at the same time it feels very, very empty. It's like that dichotomy there. It's like, you're feeling both at the same time. Just peaceful.
Sounds pretty awesome.
Yeah.
Now, as far as this realm is concerned, this construct, would you say it was created by one entity, or was it created by multiple entities? Was it created and then, sort of like you're using the analogy of the sort of a game that is created and we move into? Do you have a sense that this was just one being that created this, or was it a collective experience of creation to make a world like this?
So, multiple beings have created this. When you look into the cycles of events and time here, it's supposed to be based off 13, right? They've taken the 13th out, the 13th month, 13, it's all based around 13. And like I said before, this realm is a reflection of as above, so below, as within, so without. So 13 beings, right? But people think that this one creation was created by a singular God, right? But this was a collaborative creation by 13.
When you think about just like these bodies that we have, it's the mind that it took to create this, with all of the different functions, down to the cellular level and even beyond that these bodies can actually perform. The ways that we have our immune system reacts, the way all of these different functions in our bodies react, and we're finding more things all the time about how amazing the body is. What a mind it took to actually come up with that, right? It's incredible to me that these it could be done.
The body is just a copy of the soul on the other side. So it's like your soul on the other side could be whatever it is you want, but the body, the physical body, is the perfection of the universal blueprint for the soul's expression, right? The body is the template for that individual expression. I mean, you could change it, but that is the perfected, right? And so on the other side, even though you have different races, what are they all using? The template of the physical body, because it's the perfection for a soul to express itself in the ever expanding creation of all things. All right. So, but here, a lot of things are distorted within the physical body because like I said, we're experiencing the extremes here, what we're not. So this is where you have the organs, the chakras, DNA, all exists here, not there.
Okay, so chakra, some people say that no such thing as chakras. Some people say that there are. Some people say there's only one. Some people say there's 7, 12. Have you observed any of that?
When you're out, your soul doesn't have chakras. It's one spark, one being. It's your soul. Because you don't necessarily have, I mean, you could create energy fields within your physical body here. This is why, they've done an amazing job at convincing people that somehow fractalizing their soul spark into many different parts of the body, keeping all those different fractalized versions of your soul within the body, you need to balance those to make you whole and complete. That's a massive distortion and distraction, because you don't need to fractalize your soul essence within multiple points of the body to be fully connected to who and what you really are on the other side. That's the give them a bit of truth, lead them down a path of self-sabotage, and that's what that is.
So when people say that when you have a traumatic event in a lifetime or a previous lifetime, that part of your soul essence is trapped there, you think that's, again, more misinformation?
Nothing's ever trapped, and there's no. This is where you get into a lot of the fear stuff, trapping the soul, the eternal damnation. Entrapped, like people have taken religion where they go, you will go to hell forever, to the soul could be trapped. It's the same thing. It's the same level of consciousness, just in a different format and different words. You as a soul can never be trapped. If you are consciousness, your soul dictates the universe. And to believe that you could be trapped and infinitely condemned and all those things is coming from a belief system that the universe dictates consciousness, but the consciousness dictates the universe. I think I said that. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I said that right. Yeah.
Yeah. Consciousness dictates the universe.
Yeah. Exactly.
The construct doesn't dictate us. We dictate the construct.
Exactly. So your soul, the consciousness, is the dictator of the universe. So therefore, you can never be trapped, lost, or anything unless you believe it to be such. And therefore, you will create that experience for yourself. But the Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, the universe does not dictate consciousness. And when you're over on the other side, there's no judgment either. This is where you get the unconditional love. When I've crossed over, it's unconditional love. It's because you can't have unconditional love with a judgment. And when you're there, there's no being there to judge your fullest expression of self, right? Because you're free to do so. Same with every other soul. Because of the extreme duality in experiencing that which we're not here, we've also inverted a lot of the stuff too, like by focusing on a lot of fear-based narratives that constantly put you in a place of disempowering the soul instead of empowering the soul. Yeah.
Yeah. And I guess that's in a way how we test our mental, our ability to maintain our integrity in a place like this, right? To be able to maintain our sovereignty and our authenticity in a world that's trying to put you in all kinds of mind boxes, whether these boxes are religions or mind boxes, political organizations and movements are all mind boxes. And to try and navigate your life so that you don't fall into those boxes and limit yourself in those ways, I think is something that we should try and do.
Yeah, because everything here, the way that everything's set up is all pretty much what you just said. It's distracting you to put your energy into everything that which you're not, right? Putting your focus on not yourself, right? Focusing on yourself and accessing the other side and stuff like that. And that's also, like I said many times, is what they call the great work, which is waking people up to the other side. You wake up to that, wake up to everything. You stop focusing on things that are pretty much, unless you choose to, but not in accordance to the eternal aspect of you when you leave.
Yeah. So any of those belief systems that you develop here or you cultivate in this realm are going to fall away as soon as you leave this realm.
Not necessarily immediately, because even when I've been out of my body, it doesn't all just go bam, like all at once. It hasn't for me anyways. It's been like like the longer I've been there, the more I'm like, oh, okay. Like I would ask certain things. And then when I ask certain things, they just come in and I'm like, oh, okay, that makes sense. It all just starts to come back to you gradually. So
yeah, that makes sense. It would probably hit you all at once. It would probably be some kind of a electrical flash of shock or something. It's so drastic, I'm sure, compared to, this crazy world, and then experiencing your true self all of a sudden takes a little doing. So when you come back from one of these experiences and you've been gone for, I assume would be hours in our time. Would it feel like hours to you, or would it just feel like a short period of time?
Depends. So it depends on where I'm accessing. Now, if I'm accessing this realm, right? Like so, and I'm viewing what's taking place in real time with physical people still in their physical body. If I'm there for 5 minutes, it feels like 5 minutes. If I'm there for an hour, it feels like an hour. But when I start to access records and go into different realms, constructs, etc., or tap into dimensional spaces, that's where time becomes very difficult. Like it feels like I'm there forever. Like it could feel like I'm there forever, but I'm only there for like 5 minutes in physical time. So it depends where you're accessing.
Yeah, time can be very relative and deceptive at that point, I guess. Now, if you're accessing, out of body here in this realm, I assume that you would be able to travel anywhere you wanted to and observe whatever you wanted to. Are you encountering other souls that are doing the same thing as you, that are just kind of observing and saying, "Hey, let's check this out"? What's really going on behind the scenes?
I've encountered one person through these experiences that has I saw him out of his body, and I'm going to keep this private just for the sake of privacy of names and stuff like that. But I've seen him out of his body, and when I woke up the next day from the out of body state, coming back in, I remember. Hold on, go back a little bit, because I remember telling him when I saw him, I was like, "Hey, name, you remember this is me, Darius? You're going to remember this when you wake up?" And when he woke up, he didn't remember anything. All right. And this is where I started to go into, this is where I had the confirmation that every single night, everybody's leaving their body. So they're just unaware of it. Everybody's accessing the other side every single night. So it's just, if you're not aware through that process of coming out of the body, it's going to feel like a dream to you. It's going to be very, you remember some fragments of it, but you can't bring it back. But yeah, I've seen stuff like that as well. But it's typically, I'm just communicating with the same beings.
That's fascinating. So what do you think stops us from being able to remember the dreams or being in those states? What do you think it is that keeps us, I experience that all the time, where I can wake up right in the middle of a dream, or even, have a lucid dream where I'm actually aware that I'm dreaming. But then usually it doesn't stay with me. Once I go back to sleep and wake up again, I might remember a part of it, but then, it just kind of goes away pretty quick. Any thoughts on that?
All right. So it's just your consciousness, how much your consciousness is there. So basically, if you were to, right now, physically awake, if you put your brainwave into theta or delta, right, and you're trying to navigate physical life half asleep, you're not going to remember what you're doing because you're not fully consciously there. Same thing goes for when you're accessing the other side, when you go to sleep. If you're not 100% fully consciously there, your consciousness there, it's going to be no different. So like I said before, when you're in your dream space, there are ways to become fully conscious and fully aware, and snap, you're right there, right? And when you're snapped in there, you will become fully conscious, fully aware, feel like you have density, etc. And then you would be in the out of body state. So it's just consciousness. How much of your consciousness is fully aware?
Yeah, that makes sense. So why do you think that some of us are able to kind of grasp some of these ideas and see this sort of construct for what it is, and then others seemingly just have no awareness other than of their, sort of daily lives, get up, go to work, go home, they're really mundane things. Is that a choice that we make before we come here to say, well, I'm going to live a life where I'm just totally oblivious to my own existence?
Well,
or, the very mundane daily things.
Yes. Yes to that question. Some people they're playing their scripts and choosing. Yes. In short, it's yes. But then to answer that in a different way is, how do you tell a blind person what the color blue looks like? So the people that can't necessarily see and understand what's being shown to them or even told to them, how do you tell a blind person what the color blue looks like? It's not necessarily that they're blind forever, right? It's when they do slowly wake up again, their vision becomes very clear to see again. So,
yeah, and that's fascinating. I love the idea. Obviously, if all of us were exactly in the same consciousness, this thing would be over real fast. Right?
So, not necessarily. No. So when this is a thing where it's another distraction. So it's another distraction of waiting. So could you imagine if all souls were awake, then something would happen, but not necessarily, because you as a soul right now, each individual soul can access this if they have the willingness and desire to access this. You come into this realm, this construct, by yourself. It's an individual inside job. And so you leave. When you leave, you're not leaving with everybody else. You're leaving with your soul, yourself. It's always an individual self, right? It's never waiting for anybody else. Because if I were to sit back and just wait for everybody else to catch up to me, then I would be doing myself a disservice, because I would be crippling myself by intentionally, you know?
Sure.